Hello and welcome to On the Sofa. I'm Monja and joining me tonight is Susan. So tonight, in keeping with our February love theme, we'll be exploring some of Scotland's fairy tale love stories. I've always been fascinated by folklore and old tales, so this week has been very exciting for me, a bit of a storytelling session.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? A good one this week. Okay, so our first story. Our first story comes from the Scottish borders, close to our head office in Duns. This is a tale of courage and magic that breaks all stereotypes. Instead of a damsel in distress, Tam Lin is the story of a young man held captive by evil fairies and a brave woman who fought to rescue him.
Quite a good one.
Yeah, I know, good way to
A
start.
modern old tale.
Exactly, yeah. So, like the great majority of folk tales, Tam Lin has been modified and readapted numerous times over the centuries. So you may have heard a slightly different version of it.
So the legend goes that a young man named Tam Lin, or Tam Lane, was out hunting with his grandfather Roxburgh when he fell from his horse and was taken away by the Queen of the Fairies herself, who dwells in the Green Hill. She made him a knight of her elven company and set him the task of guarding the forest of Carterhaugh, where, according to local townsfolk, he would only let those young maidens pass who gave him a token of treasure or else their maidenhood. A cheeky boy, Tam Lin. So the old ballad says, "Oh, I forbid ye maidens all that wear gold on your hair to come or gae by Carterhaugh, for young Tam Lin is there."
Bit of a tongue twister.
It is. Please forgive my my old Scots. Yeah. We did a wee bit of Burns at primary school, but apart from that it's
far.
a wee bit. Yeah.
So we'll do our best.
Long time ago.
We'll try our best. Forgive us if it's not quite right.
Not up to scratch.
Despite the warnings, young Janet, the daughter of an earl, ventured into the forest with her green kirtle held above her knee and her wild blonde braided hair. As she was passing the well, she came across a milk-white steed, and she took rest and picked a wild rose growing near the well. She pulled a branch from the tree, and at once Tam Lin appeared and cried, "Why pulls thou the rose, Janet? And why breaks thou the wand? Or why comes thou to Carterhaugh without my command?"
So little is said about what happens next, but Janet does discover a little while later that she is pregnant with the child of Tam Lin. So I think we can all let our imaginations go a little bit there.
Yeah, we know what happened.
So when she goes looking for him, he explains that he used to be a mortal man until he was captured by the Queen of Fairies. As her prisoner, Tam is afraid he will be given as a tithe to hell on the night of Halloween. So quite, setting up the dramatics for Halloween here. Yeah. So his only hope is for the young girl, Janet, to rescue him while he rides as part of a company of elven knights. So the excitement, the big action piece of the story, Janet does manage to pull him down from his horse and hold on to him as the Queen of the Fairies turns him into different beasts. So Janet's holding on to him while he's transforming into all these horrific monsters. So when she eventually turns him into a burning coal, Janet throws Tam Lin into a well and waits for him to turn back into a man. So despite her anger, the Queen of Fairies does acknowledge defeat. She's quite, at least she knows when she's been defeated. And Janet and Tam Lin wins the evil. It's quite a nice ending to that horrific ordeal, I think.
Positive ending.
Yeah.
So, according to Sir Walter Scott's, is it minstrelsy?
Minstrelsy.
No, so yeah, there we go. Too many tongue twisters of the Scottish border. It is thought that the story of Tam Lin was first found in the 1549 book, The Complaint of Scotland, and that perhaps it was connected to the dance of Tom of Lin, though it's not known for certain exactly how old this romantic ballad actually is. Today, most of the forest has long been cut down. Part still remains though, together with a mossy old well hidden among the ferns, and marked with the name of Tam Lin's Well. Though it is well buried beneath lots of undergrowth and quite well hidden. So if you were looking for it, it might be quite a hard one to spot. So I mean, if you ever have found the fairy well, do let us know.
Hello to Roger and Thelma in Germany joining us.
Hello.
I hope you're ready and enjoying some fairy tales tonight, maybe some popcorn. So on to our next tale. This one is a love story about the Goodman of Westness. So each Scottish island, again, it does have its own version of this folk tale. So you might have heard a different version, but here's our telling of it. And again, perhaps calling it a love story is not entirely accurate, but we'll let you be the judge of that at the end of our story. So legend has it that there was once a handsome young man who showed no interest in taking a wife. One day, this Goodman went down to the sea and saw a group of selkies sunbathing and playing in the water. So for those who don't know, in Norse and Celtic mythology, selkies or selkie folk mean seal folk. So they are mythological beings capable of changing from seal to human form by shedding their skin. They are found in many folk tales and mythology originating from the northern Isles of Scotland, and feature in some Irish tales as well. So the legends of selkies say that if an ordinary human ever sees a selkie, they will inevitably fall in love. So I suppose this is the Scottish version of a mermaid.
Yeah.
Who's slightly less glamorous, being a seal, but that's Scotland for you.
Not to worry.
So back to our story. As the man watched the selkies play, he became enchanted by the beauty of the young women. He ran towards them and snatched up one of their skins, which they had left on the sand. Most of the selkies managed to retreat to the sea, wearing their skins and turning back into seals, all except one poor selkie.
Yeah.
So the beautiful creature started weeping and wailing, as you might imagine, with her whole family swimming away.
Left behind.
She begged the man to return her skin, as without it she could not return to her people in the sea. So she said, "Oh, handsome man, if there is any mercy in your human breast, give me back my seal skin. I cannot live in the sea without it. I cannot live among my own people without my seal skin." Quite heartbreaking, I would think, actually.
Quite a sad story. At this sorrowful sight, the Goodman felt pity for the selkie, but for the first time he also felt great love, because that's what they were told at the start.
Yeah, the beauty of the selkie is.
So which melted his cold heart. Oh.
Warming up a bit here. Not sure how pleased I am for him though.
No. We'll see how this one pans out. Instead of setting her free, he eventually convinced the creature to become his wife, and they proceeded to have 7 children. Crikey. It was said that there were no children as beautiful as them in all the Isles, and they appeared to live a very happy life together. Despite this, oh dear, the selkie always longed for the sea, her true home, and never stopped looking for her skin. Only many years later did she find it hidden in their home. That was one of her daughters that had helped her to find it. Oh, so immediately she abandoned her human family and rushed back to the sea, where a selkie man was waiting for her. Crikey.
It's quite the decision, isn't it? Just abandon your 7 children
for a selkie man. And as she left, she cried out to shore, "Farewell, Goodman of Westness. Farewell to you. I liked you because you were good to me, but I loved my husband from the sea more."
Fair enough. I suppose depends from whose point of view, whether it's tragic or a happy ending. Romantic,
So for the rest of his life, the Goodman hoped for a return, but never saw her face again. The origins of the sad selkie legends aren't really known, but a compelling story comes from Gaelic historian John Macaulay. He suggests that for thousands of years, Eskimo-type kayakers in sealskin canoes have been travelling down to Scotland from remote Arctic Norway. So there we go.
So these, the Sea Sami, who are now extinct, were a nomadic tribe of hunter-gatherers that used Eskimo kayaks and technology to hunt and fish. So you can imagine how such a kayaker must have looked to someone who'd never seen one before. A seal skin kayak does become waterlogged after about 8 hours, so it'll lie just below the surface of the water. So all you could see from the shore would be the top of half of a man, and then below the water, the shape of a long tail wavering in the refracted light. So it must have looked remarkably like a creature that was half man and half seal. And imagine the islanders' shock as the creature then came ashore, took off its seal skins, and became entirely human. So you can sort of see where the legend might have surfaced from. So from Selkies, moving on to our next story, and I can see that Luke says hello. Hi Luke, it's nice to see you joining us again tonight. Hope you're enjoying some stories. So our next story is a sort of Scottish version of Cinderella. So the main difference is the beginning of the story, and we all know the tragic tale of the beautiful young orphan with her stepmother and stepsisters, but Rationcoaty somehow has an even darker background, so it doesn't seem that we're getting any cheerier, does it?
Not yet, but not to worry. We'll stay positive. Okay. So hated by her birth parents and her uglier older sister, the young lassie is mistreated and sent into the woods to herd cattle every day. One day, a red calf, taking pity on her, leads her to a big house across the wood, and here they find a big feast waiting for them. This is sounding a bit better. This becomes part of their daily routine, and the no longer malnourished girl grows more beautiful every day. The saying goes that every day the calf took the lassie away and feasted her on dainties, and every day she grew bonnier.
So of course, this upsets her evil parents and sister, who decide to follow her and discover her secret. So angry, they want to force her to kill the calf as punishment. Quite brutal. Her the one friend she has to help her out. Rationcoaty and the red calf manage to run away and only stop when they reach a meadow. Here they make some new clothes for her with the rushes growing on the meadow and continue their journey until they reach the king's castle. So from here on, the story does become quite similar to the Disney version we all know and love. Rationcoaty is not allowed to go to the kirk on Yule Day because she has to work at the castle, but the calf acts as the fairy godmother by bringing her a fancy dress.
Yes.
So it says, he went out and came back with a grand dress of silk and satin and such a nice pair of slippers. The lassie put on the dress, and before she left, she said, Ilka peat gar another burn, and Ilka spit gar another turn, and Ilka popped gar another play, till I come frae the kirk on Good Yule Day. So once at the kirk, the prince falls in love with her, but she needs to leave early to finish preparing dinner for everyone, else everyone would know she'd abandoned her post to go to a party. So in a hurry, she drops her shoe and the prince starts his quest. Overcoming a few obstacles, of course, the prince and Rationcoaty finally get married, and they do live happily ever after. Be pleased to know in this one, we have a happy ending for the prince and the Scottish Cinderella.
Okay, so next tale. Are you ready? On the west coast of Scotland, in the narrow stretch of sea between the Isle of Jura and Scarborough, there is a submarine mountain that causes violent whirlpools when the tides surge past its submerged peak. The loud roar of the whirlpool can be heard up to 10 miles away. According to legend, a Scandinavian prince called Brecon fell in love with the daughter of the Lord of the Isles and asked her father for her hand in marriage. The Lord of the Isles did not favour his marriage, so he set a challenge that he thought the prince would not accept. Making it tough for him here, eh? So the challenge required Brecon to prove his skills as a sailor by mooring his boat in the whirlpool for 3 nights. That's quite a long time to...
It is.
I would imagine. Brecon sought advice from his father on how to complete this task, so his father told him he would need 3 ropes. One made of hemp, one made of wool, and one made of maiden's hair. The hair of a pure maiden was said to be unbreakable, and so it should see the prize safe no matter what the whirlpool threw it on. So,
well, we'll see. So the prince's father had hopes that the last rope would prove impossible to make, so his son would abandon the challenge. However, Brecon managed to get the ropes made, including maiden hair. I'm not sure what tactics he used to get that part a lady with her hair. I'm not sure he'd be so successful these days. And he did moor his boat in the whirlpool. One question I have is, not sure what he tied the ropes to. I'm assuming he attached one end to the boat.
Yeah, but not sure about where the other end.
Maybe they're very long and they were tied to the shore.
Yeah. So not sure.
All we can assume.
The logistics of this. But,
so if I'm thinking too deeply into
it's a tale,
the fable.
So we'll go with it.
So on the first night, the rope of wool broke. On the second night, the rope of hemp broke. And then on the last night, Brecon actually perished in the whirlpool when the last rope of Maiden's hair broke, despite the claims of its incredible strength. So it later came out, after the horrible ordeal, that one of the maidens was maybe not as pure as she had claimed to be.
Naughty.
A little bit tragic.
Yes. So, the Corrie Vricken is one of only 7 major whirlpools in the world. These magnificent examples of nature in the Roe have long held a particular place in the human psyche and have myths and legends associated with them that seem to come from the edge of time. Our Canadian listeners may already know, but 2 of the 7 major whirlpools are located in New Brunswick and British Columbia. So we're wondering if anyone has managed to see all 7.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you have.
Yeah.
Impressive. The Gulf of Corrie Vricken is over 300 feet deep, but when the whirlpool is at full power, the depth of the water is less than 100 feet. The particular cause of this awesome power is a subterranean spike called a Cailleach. I was close. I'm very lucky that I've got Monja here.
Nice Gaelic word to throw in the mix.
Yes, there we go. Off the coast of Scarborough, which causes the Great Atlantic waves to form into a giant vortex and create the Corrie Vricken whirlpool. So visitors will find a number of tour operators in the area offering boat trips to the whirlpool and its surrounding waters, known as the Gulf of Corrie Vricken.
Worth a trip, although I might like to take a helicopter rather than a boat.
Yeah, I might be a bit scared going on a boat near a whirlpool. So yeah,
maybe stay far enough back. I would imagine it's okay. So we're on to another Scottish story. This one is, again, it's a Scottish version of a tale we all know, the tragic Romeo and Juliet. So get your tissues ready. So it takes place in the middle of Loch Marie, where there is a small island. And there's a curious legend associated with the graves of 2 people that were buried with their tombstones facing each other on the island there. Legend has it that they were a Viking prince and princess who lived on the Isle of Marie. The prince would embark on expeditions on his longboat, and the princess would greet his return with a white flag if all was well, and a black flag if there had been a death during his voyage. On one occasion, the princess decided to test how upset her prince would be if she died. Don't think this is going well.
Yeah.
Something probably not to do.
Yeah.
I think we can all assume
learn from this one.
Your prince would be very upset if he died. So she hoisted a black flag and pretended to be dead on the return of the prince's longboat. Of course, if you've ever seen the Shakespeare play, you can maybe guess what may have happened next.
Yes, I think we can. So on seeing the black flag and the body of his lover lying at the shore, the prince killed himself and the princess followed suit in grief at the consequence of her actions. So yes, not the happiest ending. It's said that the 2 graves on the island are those of the prince and princess. The princess got her answer in the most tragic way, yes.
She did.
Yeah, that's not so good. But you can apparently take a boat trip to the island to visit the graves. So do let us know if you ever go that way, or maybe if you've been already. Would love to know.
Yeah, I'm sure it's quite beautiful. The photos of the island do look stunning. Yeah, it's nice to have a little fable, whether or not it's true, of the graves there. So to finish you off, after some miserable stories there, we have had some happy endings.
Yeah,
we have.
But there's been some,
but we've also had a few sad ones.
Yeah.
So this month we've been asking you to send us your Scottish love stories, and one that we've had in did actually give us a few tears earlier on when we read it, but it's from Alan and Joe McHale from Dunedin. So Anna interviewed them recently, so we'll pop the link in the comments if you'd like to hear more of their story. But Alan has written his version of events about how he met Joan. So I'm going to tell you the story from Alan's point of view.
Yeah.
So back in 1969, I used to walk to school with a lady who lived in a house on the other side of the street in Bonnyrigg, which is just outside Edinburgh. She used to tell me about her nieces of similar age to me who were due to visit from the US in August of that year. So in August, she introduced me to her nieces. One was called Anne, a couple of years older than me, and one was called Joan, who was a year younger than me. I fell for Joan in the first minute. She was cool, fun, and exciting, and gorgeous.
Oh.
I mean, I'm already feeling
yes.
quite emotional. So we went for walks with a neighbour of mine, and at night we used to hang out our respective bedroom windows, talking across the street to each other. Joan was only in Scotland for a couple of weeks, but I was smitten. Joan and I became pen friends, as they couldn't afford a phone then, and we wrote to each other every 10 days for a couple of years. So in 1961, Joan and her mother came back, and I asked her mother if I could take her out. She said yes, and Joan and I had our first date. We went into Edinburgh and walked up Arthur's Seat and then had tea in the Woolworths restaurant on Princess Street. I was apparently the first beau that Joan had kissed. Quite beautiful.
Yeah, it's lovely.
I went back to Ohio after that, and we stayed pen friends until we were 21 and 20. Life goes on, and I eventually got engaged and had to tell Joan. So she had just planned another trip to Scotland to visit family. In September of 1976, Joan and I met in Edinburgh, had dinner and a few drinks, and something was said. So Joan was leaving for London the following day with her cousin, and I promised to go to the station to see her off. So prepare yourselves, this part is straight out of a movie. Well, on the night that Joan and I met, I had too much to drink, and on the day she was leaving to go to London, I could not get to the station on time. I got there just as the London train was pulling out of the station. Our eyes met, and she went to get off the train, but her cousin stopped her, and the train pulled away. No. I never saw her again for 24 years.
That's a long time.
It's heartbreaking. So we wrote once, and I got married. Joan got married the following year, and all connections were lost. So we fast forward 24 years to September 2000. I was going through a divorce and living in the south of England. I returned from the gym, and my voicemail light on my phone was flashing. I had a message to contact a cousin in Scotland, because she had received a letter from Joan in America saying that Joan was coming back to Scotland for the first time since 1976 and asked if I was still alive. The same night, I received notice from others that they had also received a letter from Joan, and she was determined to see if she could connect with me. I called Joan but didn't get her. She was at a training course. But we did get to talk a couple of days later, and it was magic.
That's lovely.
We talked every day and agreed to meet in London. She would meet me, and if it didn't work out, she would go and stay with a cousin in Cambridge. So we agreed for fun that we would not exchange photographs. We had both changed from how we were back in 1976. Family, time, and work had taken their toll. So the last time I saw Joan, she was on a train to London, and the next time I saw her, she got off that train at the other end, and I was there to meet her. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
We stayed together in London for 4 days, and then she had to go back for the other reason of our trip, to visit family. I agreed to go on vacation to Dunedin, Florida at Christmas that year, and then again in March 2001 to celebrate her birthday. At the end of that trip, we were pretty much committed, but Joan still had a son in school, and I had an important career. I got back to work, and within 4 days, there was a food scare resulting in all our exports to Europe being cancelled. Our business had to downsize, and that was it. The reason, an opportunity for me to move to Florida to be with Joan. So of course that year wasn't very easy because of 9/11, but we were together finally. In 2003, Joan and I returned to Bonnyrigg and got married with all our friends and family, and Scottish friends as well surrounding us.
And there's a picture of them.
That's beautiful. So we also brought some good friends from the US so they could sample a great Scottish wedding. My opinion, there's nothing else that compares to a Scottish wedding. So Joan and I are still together. We have so much in common. We can't change what happened back in 1976. We both have kids of our own and respect each other's past. But we make the best of today and are always working on something for the future together. Love and happiness is what makes the world go round, and Joan and I have it in tons and are always willing to share what we have to make others happy. Such a beautiful story. I know.
Story.
I think like all of us got a little bit emotional after reading that beautiful tale from Alan there.
To hear. Just such a beautiful story.
That's lovely. Oh, and hello to Lee, who's joined us. I hope you've enjoyed some stories from tonight, Lee.
And we ended on a very positive
note.
Well.
Hope that's made up for it for everyone.
So thank you for joining us for some Scottish love stories. Hope you've enjoyed them. This is the last week of our February love theme. So if you have any Scottish love stories of your own, do let us know. We've been inundated with your tales and we're really loving reading them. We honestly are, so thank you. Next month is all about family at home. So to kick us off, we'll be talking about tartan interiors, which will be fun.
Yeah, lots of inspiration in there, I think.
So let us know if you have any questions and we will see you next week.